Well, hello everybody. For my last bake of 2015, I'm going to be making some chocolate fudge cookies. So these are going to be very rich in chocolate, but I'm going to put some other ingredients in as well. So I'll go through the ingredients. We have 450 grams of dark chocolate. In this instance, I'm using 55%. I usually use 70%, but 55% cocoa solids is good for this one, I think. 350 grams of sugar, 60 grams of butter, 80 grams of chopped hazelnuts. They're only chopped in half. I have 120 grams of raisins, which I've soaked for a couple of hours in some rum, and then I've strained them off and allowed them to dry off a little bit. 150 grams of milk chocolate chips, 60 grams of flour, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of baking powder and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, and 4 eggs. Now I'm going to put that baking powder and salt in the flour right away so I don't forget that. Now the first thing we're going to do is to melt our butter and chocolate in a bain-marie until we get a nice smooth mixture. Then we're going to let that cool to room temperature. So I'll do the bain-marie first of all, and then we'll have to take a little break while it comes down to room temperature. So you put the chocolate and the butter into a bowl over some water, and you let that water come to the boil and then simmer gently as it melts the chocolate. And you got a nice silky smooth chocolate. So that's our chocolate melted. Now I'm going to set that aside for it to cool down. And then in a few minutes, once it's started to cool down, I'll have reset the work area and we'll get on to the next stage. Our chocolate's cooling, and so the next stage is to beat the eggs and the sugar together until we have a nice thick consistency. You could do this with a whisk attachment, but I'm doing it with the beater since I think it works better once we add the chocolate later. So we're going to beat this until it's nice and thick and it forms ribbons as we lift the beater up, and it drips back down, forming a ribbon. And then what we want to do is to add our chocolate into that mixture. And I'm going to try to get as much of the chocolate out as I can, because I'm actually going to reuse this bowl to cool the mixture down in the fridge before we actually bake it. So we'll gently mix that in. We don't want to beat it too fast because we'll knock the air out of the egg mixture if we do. You can scrape down the sides a little bit. Okay, and when it's just about combined, it doesn't matter if it's not completely combined because we've got some more mixing to do. I will scrape off the beater. And then we'll carry on just mixing this to make sure we're getting all the chocolate into the egg. And then we'll add our flour, baking powder and salt mixture. This isn't taking a lot of flour, it's just going to be enough to help it combine as it bakes and hold together. Because what we want is a nicely set exterior and a soft fudgy inside to the baked cookie. And when you've got the flour almost combined, you can add the other ingredients. So there's the rum-soaked raisins. And the hazelnuts chopped in half. And then milk chocolate. You can actually do any combination of things to go with these. I'm going to do some more after this one with the same chocolate and egg mixture, but I'm going to use cranberries, milk chocolate and chopped pecan nuts. So that's just about mixed. And so what I want to do now is to put it back into our bowl, and that's why it doesn't matter if the bowl wasn't completely clean because it's only got chocolate in it. And we're then going to refrigerate it for about an hour until it's firmed up. As you can see, this is far too loose a batter to be able to form into cookies. Okay, so there we have our cookie batter. I'm going to cover that. If you can hear some pattering, it's rain hitting the window. Apologise for that, but I'm still trying to master baking. When I've done that, I get on to mastering the weather. So that's going to go in the fridge for an hour, and then I'll be back with you and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so now I'm back and I'm just going to try to put these onto the baking tray. It's firmed up, the dough's firmed up a little bit, but not massively so. And I'm using a scoop that holds about 2 tablespoons, but by taking a little bit extra, I'm getting about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons probably. And once I've got it onto the baking sheet, I'm going to shape it a little bit. It's still a bit of a messy thing to do. Okay. I'm going to try to shape them into a round and then flatten them slightly. Now they're going to spread, so you need to leave them quite far apart. Right, so I've done 12 and I'm going to put these in the oven for 10 to 14 minutes. What I want them to do is to they're spread out a little bit, and then the top should just begin to crack, and once the top has started to crack, I'm going to take them out of the oven so that they will firm up outside the oven and be soft inside. I need to leave them on the baking tray for about 10 minutes before I try to move them onto a cooling rack, because they're so soft that if I try to pick them up they'll just crumble. So 10 minutes in the oven at 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius Fahrenheit or 350 Fahrenheit, and then I'll be back with you when I've done the rest of them. I'm going to do the rest, then I'll be back with you to show you the result. So now I'm back and I've baked all the cookies. I actually got 28 out of that batch that I made, and I'll be doing another batch with different flavours, as I said earlier on. And I think they've turned out reasonably well. I've already eaten one, but I'll take just one, and you can see it's firm. It doesn't have a lot of flour in, remember, but if we break it open, you can see just how moist it is. Soft. It really is very, very nice indeed. With a slightly crispy outside, soft in the middle, the crunch of the hazelnuts, the milk chocolate takes just a little bit of bitterness away from the dark chocolate, and then the sultanas as well, nice and juicy. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to the recipe below this video, and in the recipe I'll detail what I've done here, but I'll also add what I'm going to do in the next batch, so that you'll know the ingredients if you want to try. But as I say, with this recipe you can just mix and match, as long as you've got the 450 grams of chocolate, the 60 grams of butter, the 4 eggs, the 350 grams of sugar, and then the 60 grams of flour. As long as you've got that, what you put into it in terms of chocolate chips or nuts or fruit or anything, that's entirely up to you. And just bake them for about 10 to 14 minutes until they go just like this, basically. So that's it for 2015. I'll be back with you again with another recipe very soon. In the meantime, have a happy New Year's Eve.